Does it start with us?
Florida.
Okay, I'm a little bit mixed up over the Palestinians and the Israelis. Okay, which one is throwing the rocks?
Oh, I can't think of the name of the other one. The fellow with the turban thing.
God.
I call it a diaper head, really.
And I believe Mississippi.
Who was the first man on the moon?
John Glenn.
Armstrong walked on the moon, but I think it was a Russian. I'm not sure.
Well, I gotta tell you, some people don't believe that happened. They believe that was reincarnated in Arizona somewhere.
What is a mosque?
Don't have any idea.
Alex Jones.
An animal.
I have no intelligent guess.
Okay, do you want to make a stupid guess?
How many kidneys does a person have?
One. What is collateral
Mosque sounds like a drink if you don't
Well,
know.
they just made a film about it, but that's definitely not what it is. It probably has something to do with what the movie was about, but not necessarily related to the movie. Do you know what I mean?
How many world wars?
I'd kill him.
3.
I'd kill him.
Which state
I'd kill him.
does KFC come from?
What, the chicken? I don't know. I really don't know.
Okay, do you know what KFC stands for?
Kentucky Fried Chicken, right?
Star Wars is based on a true story. True or false?
True.
What are Hiroshima and Nagasaki famous for?
What is it, judo wrestling or whatever?
Where is the West Bank?
On the East Coast, probably.
I'd say somewhere in New York.
How many Eiffel Towers are there in Paris?
You New York.
What is Al-Qaeda?
At least 10.
Al-Qaeda is a group, suicide group in Israel, in Middle East, that they do suicide bombs and stuff.
No, it's a cereal, like Mueslix.
And the president of it is Yasser Arafat.
Yep.
Right, yep.
Everybody knows that.
Okay.
Listen to my answer.
That's
Al-Qaeda
right,
is a
sure.
wing of the Masonic Order.
Where was the Berlin Wall?
Uh-oh,
What is the main religion of Israel?
said Alex Jones.
Muslim. The language they speak in Latin America is Latin. True or false?
The what?
Believe me, I don't know the answer to this question, but I'm thinking. Israel?
In fact, most
get
Americans
it.
would
Think.
even support a war against a country they've
No.
never heard of. Take a harmless place like the Central Asian Republic of Kyrgyzstan.
I wouldn't have thought they'd be much threat.
Well, you wouldn't think so, but that's not the view I found on the streets of Texas.
Kyrgyzstan's my
Do you
niggas.
support the president's
Yeah, they be
stance on
chilling,
Kyrgyzstan?
Yes.
using blow
Yeah.
darts and shit.
Stands on what?
Kyrgyzstan.
Eating a chicken.
I
They ain't
idea.
heard
Central
nobody.
Asia. The president says that Kyrgyzstan is a threat to U.S. security. Do you support him in that?
Oh, yes.
Like President Bush, so
Okay.
I would have to agree, I suppose.
Right. If he
No,
says
people
about
can't
that,
act
do you
that
agree
good,
with
Blake.
President
This
Bush
is
that
real, man.
Kyrgyzstan's a threat to the United States?
I think all those
He's
countries
from
that are
Texas.
over there that support terrorism or have anything to do with it like that are a threat to the United States.
If the president authorizes military action against Kyrgyzstan, would you still support
Fucking
him?
Darth
Yes,
Vader
sir.
on the
We got to
street.
support him all the way.
Yes, sir. I'm a veteran.
Okay.
Whatever it takes to keep this country free.
Do you think that
Well, that makes a
Kyrgyzstan is a
difference.
threat to world security?
Yeah, I think so.
No,
No, why not?
because they don't have enough power to defend themselves.
But you'd still support an invasion by America?
Yes, I would.
Whatever he thinks is right, he's from Texas. He's got to be right.
Oh my God. Lord, Lord, may I ask you to bestow a blessing upon humankind right about now? I ask for a modest increase of 10 IQ points per human in America in hopes that we can nearly catch up with the rest of the world. Please bestow this blessing upon us as quickly as possible and as painlessly as possible. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just talking. So as far as Alex Jones, who said that? Aaron? Alex Jones, I don't think that everything he says is wrong. And that makes him one of the most dangerous kinds of propaganda machines in the world. These are the people who pepper in some truth with the stories that are outrageous. And if he has credible witnesses coming to him with credible stories, then those stories are credible. But one guy saying that he worked in Area 51 with the tall grays for 20 years as an interpreter, I'm going to need a little bit more than that one guy who stands to totally capitalize upon his story in an area where no one else let slip the secret. I'm going to need a little more than that one guy. You can let one guy raise your antenna up, but don't then take his transmission as the gospel. You're going to need more than one guy. That's what I'm going to need anyway. I think Alex Jones does have some credible people come onto his show, and he does sprinkle truth in, and that makes his poison digestible, and that's fucking scary. The information presented may be concise, but bullshit can also be concise. I mean, the idea is, of any story presented, what are the references? What credibility? What you have to do, the way I look at it, is look at it as a court of law would look at it. All right, so you've got an eyewitness. Ask any police officer how reliable eyewitnesses are. Any police officer in any country in the world. Ask them how reliable eyewitnesses are. You go to an accident scene and you got 10 people there that saw the accident, you're going to get 10 fucking stories. So, first of all, if you're going to believe just eyewitnesses, you're going to have quite a few to even get a vague idea of what actually happened. Secondly, if it's something big, I would need more than an eyewitness or two. The reason I give some credibility to the Disclosure Project, the people involved in it, set aside Dr. Stephen Greer, who I'm not so sure I trust, the pilots, the astronauts, FAA officials, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of very highly trained people who have nothing to gain, okay, by this story, because alien stories aren't selling anymore as far as just seeing a UFO. Now, saying that you've trained with them for 20 years, that's a different story. The guy going on a speaking campaign now about that is selling books. That's when motivation comes into question. Ask these pilots and astronauts and FAA officials how many books they've written about it. Ask them how much money they're gaining from it. Ask them what benefit they've gained from it. These guys are being ostracized. They're being fired. They're being... they're having their entire character under assassination. Air Force pilots now, Navy pilots, will not even admit to their commanders when they see flying objects because they're afraid of getting grounded. That comes from the propaganda machine the U.S. government put out to make anybody who reported UFOs feel belittled. And I think it's because they were tired of answering questions. It could be something that simple, or it could be something more complex. But the whole tide of public opinion is, don't talk about UFOs, don't talk about them, because everybody's going to think you're crazy. Why? You know, if a policeman sees a clown running down the middle of the interstate, or better yet, a naked guy on a pogo stick, he's going to report that. It's a highly unlikely sighting. You don't see that every day, but he's going to report it. And people are going to have no problem believing him. They're going to be like, let's go get this bastard. You say something about a UFO and see what kind of reception you get. Different story there, different story. So what I look for is credibility in the account, credibility in the witness, and an accumulation of the data in support of before I'm going to put any faith into a proposal. And, you know, when I listen to an Alex Jones, and I've listened to a lot of what he's had to say, I'm hearing 10 or 20% that's ringing true or possibly true. The rest is coming across to me as total bullshit. And I'm not going to isolate the cases that I think are total bullshit, but I think if you take a look at his shows from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, up to recently, and then look at what played out versus what he predicted, you start to see that maybe he's not the best predictor of near and midterm future events. And then he's going to lose credibility with you. And that's why Miss Cleo went out of business. That's my opinion. But if you like him, if you like Alex Jones, and you give some credibility to his statements, you have your reasons for that. I would encourage you, though, if you really believe in a lot of what he's saying, support him. Spread the idea. And send with that, convince your friends, too. Give them the evidence. Let them decide. Because if he's right about even 50% of what he's saying, we're in some serious fucking trouble. I mean, get ready, because the FEMA trucks are warming up. The camps are on lockdown. They're coming to get your guns. Globalization is taking over. There's the mark of the beast on the bastard's head. I like UFO shows, Blake. I'm not picking on UFOs at all. I love UFO shows. As long as they have, yeah. Well, I don't ignore reality. I mean, I think people like Alex Jones could shed light onto things that would not have otherwise gained any spotlight, and that is a great thing about free journalism. But I just think so much of it plays into this natural human tendency we have to want to be scared and to believe there is an enemy at all times. I think it's just the way we evolved over so many years with so many threats from nature and mankind, challenging our ability to live in peace. And that doesn't go away quickly in a peaceful world. Not that we're ever going to see a peaceful world, but I think you could compare the average human today to the average human 10,000 BC and say the average human today is more comfortable and more secure. I mean, by the numbers, by percentages, by the lifespans. This is what I'm using. So, I don't know. I just think it's up irrational fear behaviors without credible evidence, and I define credible as a court of law would define credible, then I think that's bad for people, because there are real issues that need real attention right now. And a lot of these conspiracy theories divert attention away from those issues. That's the way I feel about it. I mean, for the stuff that he does have right, I'll give that the credibility that it deserves, but I have to see the evidence and believe in it, and I think people's evidential standards vary wildly based on what they want to believe and what they are, what they have more of a propensity to believe because of their background and training. And you could get into religion and philosophy and the way someone lives, and then take that and apply to how they're filtering information that comes into their head, and you're going to get different results with different people, just based on their history, just based on things like DNA and brain structure and thought processes and religious beliefs and philosophical beliefs, and the requirements for evidence being high or low or wacky, high in some cases, low in others, very unstable. I have a pretty consistent standard for evidence I need to believe in something that sounds very preposterous. And like Carl Sagan said, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And I'm not a huge Carl Sagan fan. I think he was an intelligent dude, very intelligent. I didn't like his fucking little act he did with his accent. That annoys the shit out of me. And there's a guy that does it now. He does a science show, and he speaks exactly like Carl Sagan. What is that? You're doing that. You don't do that when you talk at home around the dinner table. And now you're trying to sound like Carl Sagan. Fucking assholes. Let's see. But then I listened to Robin Cook talk about Al-Qaeda not being real, and it freaks me out. Well, maybe I misrepresented what I meant there, Aaron. I don't think we want an enemy, but we do have an inherent desire, which I believe evolutionary psychology has passed down to us, to believe that there is an enemy at work at all times against us. And it is natural for us to need to put something in that position of who is the enemy. In fact, some countries have been made much stronger once presented with an enemy. You got to admit it. I mean, look at the way America was before the Japanese attacked. They were very much opposed to getting involved in the war in Europe. One attack at Pearl Harbor, a few thousand dead, Shazanka, we in, everybody enlisted, let's go. It can change the dynamics of a group when there is an outside threat present. And you can develop a cohesiveness on the spot if you can scare a group of people. And if you can scare them and encourage them that you have the solution that'll lead them out of that darkness, they will follow you. They will follow you. And that's how many people gain followers, and those followers become blind because they go ahead and adopt the philosophy and viewpoints of the person that's leading them. And that is highly dangerous to be led by any one individual. So I would just encourage you that even if you're not a fan of Alex Jones, if you're just a fan of his content, triple, quadruple check that shit and just make sure it all really checks out for you. There are plenty of ways to get to the resources that he's going to cite. I've noticed with Alex Jones, he has a problem naming names and naming like organizational institutions from where he gathers his data. He likes to say a guy, or I have a friend who, or this report is confirmed, or this is a peer-reviewed report. A peer-reviewed report means shit to me. If I send a document to Apocalypse today and he reviews it, it's a peer-reviewed report. So tell me where it came from. Tell me who was working there that looked at it. If this was one insider, I need to know something about him. I can't go on your word. Not in today's journalism. I can't go on your word. I need some evidence. So I think once he has the shitstorm stirred up, it's easy to make it stick. It's flying around. Some's going to stick. So it bothers me. It does bother me. I got to admit it. I hate to see myths propagated. It's just so distracting. And the unnecessary fear that it produces to human beings who have enough to worry about just gets under my skin. Even for a person who's not gaining commercially or even just financially from some sort of conspiracy theory that he's stirred up, you still have to wonder, what is his motivation? Could it just be attention? It could be. I think we've seen examples of that in the past. Could it be the power grab, the infamous and ever-present power grab? You get power when you get believers in what you're saying. You get power. And I just don't see that many people out there that are selling some